Always wear sunscreen.
You need one of these beauties.
Look at this. It's absolutely breathtaking.
This is what you think of when you say beach in Greece.
And I'm going to take you with me.
Sometimes places like Greece seem far, far away and very, very expensive. And sometimes they are. But not this time, because this is Crete, the absolute biggest Greek island there is. And in my opinion, it's the only one you can visit once and get everything Greece has to offer in one place. Hi, I'm Michael Tudor, and in this video I'm going to take you on a big adventure. First, we need to know where we're going, and that's easy. The biggest island in all of the Mediterranean and one of the southernmost points of Europe. Because of its position, it has palm trees, a rarity in Europe. Because of its size and huge mountain range, it snows in winter. It's considered the home of the oldest civilization in Europe, the Minoans. And several Greek myths and legends are believed to have originated on Crete, namely the ancient legend of Icarus, the mythical labyrinth of the Minotaur, and the birthplace of Zeus himself.
Release the Kraken!
But when we get to Crete, we need to navigate the island, and for that, I have just the thing. Check this out, an actual paper map. I know! Alright, this is Crete. Well, about half of it is in frame. This is Heraklion. It's the capital, represented here by this big shell. This is Rethymno, the third largest city, and represented here by Yoda. And this is Chania, the former capital, represented here by this Pokemon card. It's Porygon. And this is us. Fun, huh? We're going to check out a little bit of everything. Some stunning historical sites in the north, some of the most beautiful beaches in the south, and everything edible in between. Nom 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 nom. And last but certainly not least, we need one critical element. We need sunscreen. The sun is no joke, and I'm not taking any chances. When I'm done, we can check out the first location of our adventure. So until then, you have enough time to leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more.
On the northwestern side of Crete, with a beautiful old town, Chania has been for centuries home to multiple cultures that have flourished here. Under the low balconies of beautiful Venetian mansions, refreshing fountains, sparkling churches, well-preserved historical monuments at every corner. Chania was built on the prehistoric city of Kydonia, on the bay formed between Akrotiri and Onicha Peninsula. Chania was the former capital city of Crete from 1847 until 1972, and nowadays it's the second largest city on the whole island after Crete's modern capital, Heraklion. Although it's so far out to sea, the lighthouse of Chania feels like the centerpiece around which all of the old town revolves. It doesn't hurt that it's so cool to see from any angle. The Chania Old Town Marina that unfolds around the lighthouse was rebuilt in the 16th century by the Venetians and is still standing, creating some breathtaking views. And of course, the iconic old Venetian port of Chania. What could anyone say about it that isn't obvious at a glance? Nowadays, it's all restaurants with outside seating areas. Man, I'd love to sit here all day. All of it ends in Firka Venetian Fortress, with its Marine Museum of Crete,
But this is only the beginning, because right off the harbor, you get into Chania's market, which is absolutely enormous. Alley after alley of shops, restaurants, and everything in between. But in the middle of all of that chaos and beauty sits some of Chania's hidden gems. Starting with the Jewish quarter, also known as the Topanas, a bustling place with expansive and cozy alleys surrounding Rethymno synagogue, dating way back to the Middle Ages. Almost across the way, the Catholic Venetian monastery rises from the cobblestone lane looking like a medieval crypt, inside and out. In the Turkish corner, we find Spilies Square, a vibrant square punctuated by the majestic Orthodox Church of St. Nicholas. I didn't go inside any of those because I might burst into flames, but right across from St. Nicholas, I found this snug alleyway that led to this beautiful courtyard with a small chapel at the end. This is why every location in Europe should be explored on foot and with an eye out for off the beaten path type stuff. If you're staying in Chania and want to find a good beach, just drive west. I'm not joking. It felt like we drove 5 minutes and hit the jackpot. Because that's what happened. I mean, we didn't stop at the first beach we saw. We stopped at the third. But for good reason, because it was called Golden Beach. Absolutely the perfect name for this place. This is what you think of when you say beach in Greece. The bluest water you've ever seen and the finest, most annoying sand you'll somehow find in your baggage months later when you're packing for your next holiday. Fun and relaxing for the whole family. This entire western arm of Chania is full of easily accessible beaches just like this one, with everything you'd want or need at your fingertips. A special place indeed. Check this out. Rethymno is about 65 kilometers or a little over 40 miles from Chania. It's the third largest city on Crete. But don't be fooled. What it lacks in size, it more than makes up for in wall-to-wall magic. To me, Rethymno feels like a one-stop shop for everything Crete has to offer. Same for the region around it. You can drive 15 minutes in any direction around it, except for the water, of course, and find anything and everything. But we'll get to driving around in a minute. First, let's see what you can see on foot. And on that, Rethymno is really similar to Chania, but with a serious vibe difference. First, let's start with the similarities. This is the picturesque Venetian harbor, complete with an iconic Egyptian lighthouse. There are museums everywhere, and I recommend you visit them all. But my favorite part of Rethymno's old town is Solio, which is a long, narrow alley full of all kinds of shops. The sights and sounds create this atmosphere of Mediterranean bliss. Guara Gate serves as the entrance, or in this case, the exit to Rethymno's old town. But the pièce de résistance is definitely the Venetian Fortezza Castle. It's another massive fortress with breathtaking views, and even the area around it is perfect for walks on beautiful summer evenings. What differentiates Rethymno from Chania is almost intangible. It's a vibe. On a superficial level, Chania feels more like a family-friendly place, whereas Rethymno is more lively and animated, especially at night. But the more time you spend there, the more you realize that Rethymno, in a way, has character. It's not the oldest city like Chania, It's not the biggest city like Heraklion, but it still punches above its weight. However, what really makes Rethymno special are three things: location, location, location. This is the place to stay if you're an explorer, an adventurer, always ready to find a cool new place or to go on a hike or to just be on the move. Let's come back to the map and check out what we're working with. Here we are. Rethymno is sandwiched between Chania and Heraklion right off E75. That's why Rethymno is so well positioned. It's right at the T intersection between two major cities and the deep Cretan south. If you take the road from Rethymno to Spilies, which is not bad actually, pretty easy to navigate, and you drive about 25 to 30 minutes. Right before you get to Spilies, there's several roads you can take to some of the best beaches on the island. Problem is, once you get off the road to Spilies, well, you're on your own. I'm going to reveal the secret to properly navigating Crete and any Greek island. If you want to get around Crete fast, you need one of these beauties. This is it's a small car. This is perfect for two people and whatever you need. Anything bigger and it's a waste. This has great gas mileage, it's agile, and that's what you need on a Greek island. You need to be agile, you don't need power, you're not going to get anywhere fast. Believe me, you need something to get you up those hills and into those crevices. That sounded bad. So it depends on how many people you're trying to transport. If you're a family of 4, obviously get something a little bit bigger, but just a little bit. Now that we have a car and we can properly navigate the island, what's next? Going to the beach, of course. The best beaches in Greece are in many cases isolated. Some more than others, of course, but in my experience, a beach that's more off the beaten path is definitely worth the effort. I can't say the same about the facilities in such places. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your preferences, it's possible you might find 0 bars or restaurants if the place is really remote. And if there is something there, you have a 50-50 chance to be disappointed with what they're offering, probably because they know they got you. Where are you gonna go? Back up the hill? And then what? But not in Crete. This is Spilies Beach, a beautiful, small, relatively isolated pebble beach, about 15 kilometers or a little over 10 miles from the city of Rethymno. Personally, I love Spilies Beach because it's less crowded than the other highly rated pebble beaches, but it also has everything else you would want, like a hiking path up to a small chapel and the surrounding area. Places to dive for the daredevils and the newbies among us. Comfortable sunbeds and enough space to just bring a towel to take a quick dip. Let's take a look at this feast we had after a hard day of snorkeling and sitting on the beach and reading. In any restaurant in Greece, I recommend you always order a Greek salad with your meal. It's always good and it's always fresh. But on this occasion, we're having a Cretan salad. If you've never had one, it's similar to a Greek salad, but with a unique dressing, this delicious dako spread, and an absolutely stunning local cheese called dry anthotheros. This salad in particular has feta cheese on it. Grilled meat is my favorite kind of meat. Luckily for me, the Greeks always go above and beyond. Look at this chicken souvlaki covered in herbs and spices. But more importantly, look at how it's absolutely glistening. It's so shiny that it's messing with my camera. Check it out. I keep futzing with it. Oh. There we go. But above all, you come to Greece for the seafood. And on this, the Spilies Beach restaurant blew us away. Look at this fried calamari coated in a crunchy tempura-like batter and inside cooked to absolute perfection. And of course, the sides. Some magnificent saffron-infused rice. In the back there, the ever-present and always welcome tzatziki. And these perfectly made thin potato chips. Absolutely mouth-watering. Just one more small thing missing. Ice cold beer, smoothies, and a damn fine cup of coffee. Everything you could want or need. In the end, it was worth every cent and super affordable. There are expensive restaurants, of course, but they're obvious, so you can avoid them if you want. That said, what's 100% worth it to me is this view. Sitting here, enjoying a meal and a refreshing drink is, well, it's all I need in the world.
Venetian. Now, you might hear that and ask, hey Michael, you sweaty son of a gun you, what's with all of the Venetian this and Venetian that? Venice is in Italy. Isn't Crete a Greek island? Well, I can't get anything by you, viewer. You're the most observant and knowledgeable of all my millions of viewers. The truth is, history happened. Deep, dark, dank history. Buckle up, cupcake, because I'm going to educate you on the horrors of European history.
In the year 1054, Christianity broke up. The power couple of the Middle Ages, Orthodoxy and Catholicism, grew apart with time and eventually were so estranged from each other that they couldn't quite agree on who they hated more, brown people or each other. The Catholic Church, the toxic gaslighting side of the duo, could not stand that Orthodoxy was content and even thriving without its Latin lover. So, always the white knight with the literal messiah complex, the Pope rounded up his boys, France, Italy, Germany, and started the Crusades, using as a pretext Orthodoxy's new abusive boyfriend, Islam. 150 years and 3 mass robberies disguised as holy wars later, they were still at it. In 1202, the Catholic Church tried one final attempt at reconciliation, and it was an unprecedented yet characteristic disaster. As much as I'd love to, I do not have time to explain the Fourth Crusade in this video. But if you're curious, Sean Munger, one of my favorite history YouTubers, has an almost 3-hour video on it. And that's just the important bits. But relevant to our discussion here, the Crusaders were so incompetent that they couldn't pay for the boats they ordered from the best boaters around, the Venetians. To be clear, back then Venice was so rich and powerful, they were their own city-state who basically made the rules on the Mediterranean Sea. Nowadays, the Venetians are wonderful people. Their hospitality and culinary prowess knows no bounds. But back then, they were cutthroat merchant pirates ready to take their pound of flesh from anyone who didn't pay them what they were owed. So the Crusaders had to promise them everything and anything just so they could leave the shores of Europe. That's how Venice wound up with Crete. Previously, the island was governed by Byzantine Greeks, and when the Byzantine Empire was basically robbed of everything they had, Crete became an afterthought, left to fend for itself. I love European history. Basically because it's full of horrible, rich, inbred idiots doing terrible things to regular people and barely explaining it away in the dumbest ways possible. Well, speaking of history and culture, in my opinion, food is the cornerstone of any culture. Local cuisine can tell you so much about a people, what climate they live in, what neighbors they trade with, even in some cases what their values are. Cretan food blew me away. It's incredibly good and surprisingly diverse. Cretan food tastes like it's raining herbs and spices in every Cretan kitchen. One night, we were admiring this beautiful Rethymno fountain in Rethymno, when suddenly I see two people darting into an alleyway I had never noticed, even though I had walked past it several times before. There was clearly something there, so I checked to see if it's anything interesting when I see this. It looked too good to be true, like a magical Mediterranean alley you only dream of finding on your travels. However, the heart of Cretan food is in its local ingredients, like the ones we found just walking down the street one evening. If you're from Europe or had lived here for any extended period of time, you know that we Europeans will take any excuse to organize a festival with food and drink. We have festivals for every season. We have festivals for most religious holidays. There's festivals specifically dedicated to certain drinks, others dedicated to certain foods, and others we just waste the food. I've never heard of a festival where we throw around alcohol, so you can tell where our priorities are. For this particular Cretan festival, we are in Rethymno. Alright, so we're at Rethymno Municipal Garden, and surprise, there's a festival. It's full of local arts and crafts and a lot of culinary ingredients you only get here. And I'm going to take you with me. This place had everything you could want, from beautiful handmade pieces to delicious, delectable delicacies and even entertainment. Obviously, I was mesmerized by the cheese. Cheese. You know, I love going to the beach, but I don't love sand. I mean, as a great man once said, it's coarse and rough and it gets everywhere. But, I mean, something I love about beaches in Crete is the diversity. You have everything. Sandy beaches, pebble beaches, grass beaches, rock beaches. Is that a thing, a rock beach? So let's see a couple of beaches in Crete that have great reputations and actually warrant them. And we're not going to the obvious ones like Balos or Rafolisi. Everyone goes there because they're great beaches. I'm going to give you examples of beaches that are not so well known. This is Calypso Beach. It's on the southern end of Crete. It's very deep south. It's really difficult to get here. I mean, it depends. If you're an experienced driver and don't have an issue with like rocky terrain, but you're not going to drive on the rocks. Always when there's rocky terrain, the road is kind of windy. It's always difficult. But I mean, look at it. Look at this.
It's absolutely breathtaking. I recommend these remote beaches. I recommend snorkeling. I absolutely love snorkeling. It's my absolute favorite thing to do on the beach. This is the perfect beach for that. It's a rocky beach, almost no sand, just a few pebbles, like right at the edge. There's always some sunbeds and places to just sit. You're not going to do any sunbathing, or at least I don't. I love just going out to sea as much as possible. So if you're in Greece and you want an awesome time on one of these remote beaches, I recommend it wholeheartedly. Again, I love snorkeling, so I'm one of the people that comes here as much as possible.
Oh, but some beaches aren't special because of what they are. Some beaches are special because of what's around them. Almost halfway between Chania and Rethymno, we find a striking sight.
That is St. Nicholas Chapel, a Greek Orthodox place of worship located on the smallest possible island off the coast of Crete, called Agios Nikolaos. Being only about 100 meters off the sea, you can basically swim to it, but there's also kind of a stone path off the nearest beach. I mean, it's kind of crossable, I guess. Speaking of which, the chapel was built by the nearby people of the village of Georgioupolis and dedicated to Saint Nicholas, patron saint of sailors. It provided a place of comfort for the families of the fishermen of the village to congregate and pray for their safe return. Personally, if I were a fisherman and my family kept having to cross that stoneway with these winds to that rocky island, I would be concerned for them. Looking for info on Crete, you might have heard that this side is the historical side with all of the monuments and all of the old stuff. And that side is the scenic part with all of the beautiful beaches and all of the stunning views. Let me clarify this. Crete is a Greek island. It's all historical and it's all beautiful. I get you want to make the best out of your vacation, so you might be looking for some ranking of the best places to stay in Crete. My advice is just choose a place to stay and work out from there. Do you like to stay more remote? Try one of the smaller villages on the coast. Maybe you're more into parties, so the big cities with lively beaches are more your style. Take it from me, you won't regret it either way. Well, I mean, you won't regret anything about staying in Crete. I don't know what you're up to. You might not be using protection, so, you will regret it every time. Always wear sunscreen.
In my opinion, Crete is an incredible place for a vacation. It really has everything you would want or need. And at the same time, it encompasses everything Greece has to offer. I don't know how many times I pointed at something on Crete and said, hey, that's like Santorini, or hey, that's like Kefalonia. And it's not just surface level stuff. Crete is so big that you can feel the vibe shifting from one place to another. I suspect that's why Crete is so affordable. I mean, they have to cater to everyone, but not sacrifice on quality. It feels like everything you would need has an affordable option, like rental cars or accommodation or food, and even stuff like sunbeds and souvenirs. That said, thank you for watching. I hope my video is both informative and entertaining. Is it entertaining and informative, I mean? I'd really appreciate your feedback in the comments, because it's really going to help me out with future videos. And speaking of, see you next time, right back here.